If the few are going to control the many, they can only do it in two ways. Controlling the perceptions of the many so that the many behave as the few want, and two, they have to centralize decision making. Otherwise, they can't control. The only way the few can control the many, the only way this cult has been able to take over the world is top-down hierarchical structures of power. And this is how easy it is. Talk about remove the cause of the problem. Let's go to the real big level of removing the cause of the problem. How do the few control the many? By the acquiescence of the many. And it works like this. You've got a pyramid, a hierarchy. These hierarchies operate nationally and they operate globally, and they interconnect into a global web. So at the top of the pyramid, you've got the inner core of this cult that's driving this global agenda. And these few, and the few of the few, are the center of the core of the core, you get into one room, like I said earlier, imposes its will, i.e. its agenda, on the next level, which acquiesces to them and imposes it on the next level, which acquiesces to them and imposes it on the next level. And soon after you get down from that pyramid peak, you're meeting levels of this hierarchy, national and international, that have no idea there is a cult, that has no idea, most of them, there is an agenda and it's all coordinated. But the same process continues. Imposition, acquiescence, imposition, acquiescence, all the way down, imposition, acquiescence, down the hierarchy, until you reach the mass of the population at the bottom of the pyramid, symbolically. And if we acquiesce to that level of this cult hierarchy that is imposing it upon us, i.e. government agencies, law enforcement, etc., then we complete a circuit, a devastating circuit for humanity, between the few at the top of the pyramid and the global population. And when we complete that circuit of acquiescence, the few, the agenda of the few in that single room is imposed upon the world. And so if we come back to the principle of don't look for solutions, look for the cause and take the cause away, the only way that those few in that room can impose their will on the global population is by the global population acquiescing to the hierarchy, irrespective of whether it makes sense, irrespective of the effect on other people, irrespective of the deletion of freedom that it involves. Throughout, my life, I, observed politicians and stuff like that and people in authority. And there have always been, moronic people and clueless people and all that stuff, of course. But in the key positions of power, and this is no accident, I explain in Renegade Mind how this was done. There are more morons in power, official power, not real power, around the world than ever before. You look at the premiers of the states of Australia. You look at Biden. He doesn't even know what his name is. He's now president of the United States. That's trying to break the spirit of America by putting a obviously moronic man in power over an entire nation. They're trying to get you self-respect. Has been a war on the human psyche and a war on the human spirit. And that's why it's so important not to have our spirit broken. And then you say this. The reason this group exists, that doesn't want to do it but does it because it fears not doing it, is because it goes down the list of consequences. It says this is the right thing to do, but what are the consequences for me of doing it? And if you go through that, the list will get long enough for most people to say, well, this is the right thing to do, but I ain't taking that consequence for doing it. And so you become part of group 2. I don't like it, but I'll do it anyway. But when you are in your true spirit, when you're in your true heart center spirit, you don't go through this checklist of consequences. You do what you know to be right at every turn. And what the heart says is, if I list consequences for not doing what I know to be right, that means I would be considering not doing what I know to be right. That's never gonna happen. So I'm gonna do what I know to be right, and the consequences will take care of themselves. But I am not going to be intimidated into not doing what I know to be right, because I know the consequences of that. And that is that those who are intimidating me have control over my life.